So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dark Feminine Love. This is Leslie Tavernier, and I am here with my dark masculine man, Carl E. Stevens, also known as Rakhem Seku. I'm going to skip with the formalities today and just get right into it. This is the full moon, full super moon in Aries, Tuesday, October 7th. So, it's a very intense, fiery, passionate day, and we're going to ride that energy today on this podcast episode. So, recently, Rakhem and I had a little bit of a clash, a philosophical differences of view or viewpoints. And so we're going to get into that. And I have a bunch of questions to ask him. So it's going to be a very, very powerful call. But before we even do that, I want to give a little bit of a vent. I want my ego to speak a bit. And then we'll get into the question. Well, then I'll let Rakhem respond to my ego and then we'll get into the question. So this is what my ego wants to share. This is not my higher self. This is my ego. My ego feels that Rakhem Seku does not regard me as a powerful woman. He does not regard me as a dark feminine woman. And the way in which my ego came to that conclusion is that he has repeatedly said to me that if I want to have more time with him, I would need to do two things in order to qualify for more time with him. And the two things are I would have to improve my physical appearance to meet his particular beauty standard. And two, I would have to pay him a lot of money in order to have the amount of time with him that I want to have. So I took him at his word and I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to have to do in order to get what I want with him. I thought that that was the solution. And then recently he started saying different things. He started saying, well, the actual solution to the challenges between a dark feminine and a dark masculine, or in that dynamic, is that the woman has to heal her childhood trauma, heal her childhood wounds. That's the real solution. It's not necessarily giving him more value, which is what I've heard him talk about publicly as well as privately, which is give the man more value. That way he can give you what you want. But now he's saying, well, that's not actually the solution. The solution actually is heal your childhood wounds, actually be powerful. And then, now he's saying to me, if I'm actually powerful, then I don't need to look more beautiful and I don't need to spend any money on him. And he'll just be with me because I'm powerful. And so since he's not choosing to be with me, it means that he doesn't regard me as powerful. And so because he doesn't regard me as powerful, I have to do these other secondary things. I have to give him more value to make up for the fact that he doesn't regard me as powerful. And that's upsetting to my ego. That's upsetting to my fucking ego because I'm like, I am a fucking powerful woman. Like, what the fuck? And so I was like, okay, you know what? That I guess he's just reflecting me. There's a part of me that doesn't feel powerful, that doesn't feel like I'm fully in my power. And so he's reflecting that back to me and it's pissing off my ego, but it is what it is. But I'll end this vent by saying there is in Hinduism, there is a version of Kali. There's a particular version of Kali which goes by the name of Dhumavati. And she's an old woman. She's ugly, she's haggard, she looks horrible, but she's also the most powerful. And so I'm going to read to you the Google description of her. Dhumavati is a fearsome Hindu tantric goddess, one of the 10 Mahavidyas known as the Smoky One. She represents the unformed, desolate void of cosmic disillusion. She embodies negative qualities like loneliness, despair, and inauspiciousness, and is depicted as an old, ugly widow riding a crow. Despite her daunting image, Dhumavati is also a source of deep spiritual transformation, offering wisdom beyond illusion and an ocean of love that removes grief, poverty, and emotional turmoil when approached with the right understanding. So I share that to say that regardless of what Rakhem Seku's personality thinks of me, regardless of the fact that he doesn't seem to regard me as powerful because I don't yet have the money to pay him or I don't look as beautiful as he thinks I need to look, I see myself as a fucking powerful woman. And that's what my ego wants to say. And that's that. So Rakhem Seku, what response do you have to that?
Well, you said a lot. I mean, a lot of it's conflated and kind of bullshit. First of all, power, it's not about anybody regarding you as power. What power means is if you're a powerful person, it means you're able to manifest the things you want in your life. So have you manifested what you want in your life in regards to me?
I have not yet manifested what I want in regards to you. No.
Okay, so stop there. So that means you don't have power. Power means I can create what I desire to create for myself and my life and my relationships. That's what it means. That's how it's measured. It's not does Rakim say, Ku regards you as power? Does so and so regard you as powerful? It's you know you're powerful by the measure of what you're able to actually manifest in your life. Do you understand that concept or
I
do you not?
totally understand that.
Okay, so do you understand that it doesn't matter what I regard you as, because if you contain power, if you have it for yourself, then you'll manifest the things that you want in your life.
Absolutely. I agree.
Right. And that's the only measure. So we can cancel out part of your misunderstanding about, well, Rakhem Seku doesn't regard me as powerful. It doesn't matter what I regard you as. If you're powerful, you'll manifest me in your life and everything else you want, including money and all these other things. If you're not powerful, you won't manifest those things.
Hmm.
So it doesn't, so you're clear that my regard of you is of absolutely has no bearing on whether or not you're actually powerful.
I agree with that 100%. I don't give a fuck what you regard me as.
Okay, great. So now we know that power is measured by what you're actually able to manifest into your life. Number two, we've already had a podcast on this. You know, your listeners can go back and listen to the original podcast when you kind of vented. We went back and forth. I told you before, no, you don't have to pay me money for me to come see you. The having to pay me money comes in when you want to see me on your time. Now, you not paying me money means that I'll come see you on my time when I'm ready to come see you. Or, as I told you on our last call or two calls ago, or when we had the discussion, I said you're welcome to come here to see me whenever you want, and you said okay. So there was no money charged for that or anything. So the blockage you're having in terms of coming to see me, because I put that out there, and you know I said that you could do that, is that you don't have the resources to come see me. So it has nothing to do with me charging you. We've already cleared that up. I've told you repeatedly for years, and you don't seem to understand this or get this. You don't have to pay me money in order for me, in order for us to see each other. But if you want me to come at a particular time or you want me to come before I'm ready to come, then yes, you have to pay me money. You've got to make it worthwhile for me to break my routine, break my schedule, stop doing the things that I'm currently doing to come see you. So yes, but in the meantime, feel free to buy a ticket, come on to Houston and see me. So I want to also, you know, um, let your users know that that particular statement is false. Any questions about that?
There's a lot you're leaving out. There's a lot you're leaving out because I've been asking for 6 years
Okay, well, as of
to
right
come
now, can you come see me or
to
not?
visit you in Houston, and you have it's only until just recently that you said, okay, fine, you can come to Houston. I've been asking you for years,
Okay, that's fine.
years to come to Houston, and you have denied me again and again and again and again and again and again and again.
That's true because there was no place for you to fit into my life. You can't just come see me because you feel like seeing me. I have to have an actual place for you in my life and a space for you in my life for you to come see me. It doesn't matter what you want. If it's not a hell yes for both of us, then it's going to be a no. So that's true. There was a time, not a total of 6 years, but there was a time when I was saying no, you can't come to Houston to come see me. And I really only told you that once. You never came back and revisited. But at this particular time, for the past number of months, I've told you you can come to Houston to see me. And so now your current frustration is the fact that you haven't had the resources to actually come and see me.
I've been asking you since 2020, maybe even 2019. Actually 2020 because that's when I went and I put resources in place to enable me to travel to see you even during COVID. And I was prepared to visit you and I asked you and you very, very vehemently said to me, I do not want you here.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, at that time, I was in other relationships that I was more focused on those relationships. So I had closed, plural relationships with a number of women that I was dealing with. And yes, there was no room for you in my life at that time.
Okay. You've
So
also
again,
said,
again, you're living your focus on the past. So again, just to retract everything that you said, um, now you have the opportunity to come see me. The fact that you haven't is really on you.
fair enough. But you've also said that in order for you to want to spend more time with me, I have to meet your beauty standard. And on top of that,
That's not true.
and let me
That's
finish.
not
On
true.
top of that, you've also said that the dark feminine doesn't need to look beautiful. So that tells me you don't regard me as dark feminine. And
It
I
doesn't
don't
matter
feel
what I
good. I
regard
don't
you
feel
as.
good
Wait, wait,
about being
wait.
in a relationship with you if you don't actually see me as powerful.
It
That's
doesn't matter
craziness
what I
to me.
regard. Again, you're conflating all these things. It doesn't matter what I regard you as. It's not up to me as to whether or not you're a dark feminine or not. If you're a dark feminine, you manifest time with Rakhem Seku, period. That's what being a dark feminine means. You're conflating like being a regular woman who's out here struggling and trying to figure it out, doesn't have any power. Dark feminine women manifest what they want in their life, including the relationships and the time they want with their person, whether he's a dark masculine or not. So again, just because you're conflating these concepts and your viewers are getting confused. Everybody thinking they're a dark feminine, and they're all they're not manifesting what they want with their partner. If you're a woman and you're not manifesting time with your partner, you by definition are not a dark feminine.
I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is, Rakim, is that what you've also said to me and what you've also said publicly, and I have the receipts, is you've encouraged women to give more value to the dark masculine man. And in my case, give more beauty, give more money, give more value, give more value, give more value. But then at the same time, you turn around and say, well, that's not actually the solution. What the actual real solution is to heal your childhood wounds and be in your power.
Well,
So then
so
what the fuck are
again,
you actually saying?
you're conflating all the stuff. So again, why do you heal your childhood wounds? Do you understand the concept behind that?
I do understand the concept
Well, what
behind
is
it.
the concept?
But
What's the
why
purpose
are
of
you
doing that?
saying to women, give more value?
Wait. Start one thing at a time because you're frantic as hell. And this is why you don't end up actually manifesting anything in your life because you go from topic to topic, from here to here. You're completely and totally frantic and out of control. Start from one place at a time. What's the purpose of a woman healing her childhood wounds?
To be more in your power. That's the
Right.
same for every human, not just women.
Stop there. Stop there. So the point of healing your childhood trauma is to do what?
To be more powerful.
Okay, so, and if you're more powerful, what can you do?
You can manifest what you want.
Correct, including with
Time
your,
with your dark masculine man.
okay, so is that a path to manifest more time and more space with your dark masculine man?
It is indeed a path. But what I'm saying is that all these years, what you've been saying to me is not so much that. It's you need to look more beautiful and you need
No,
to
that's
spend
not
more
true.
money if you want time with me.
That's not true. You're conflating.
That is true.
Leslie, I've always told you you have to heal your trauma from day one. I've always told you that. That's why you weren't orgasmic from the first time you came to see me. I've told you you have childhood trauma that you need to heal. You've got trauma you need to heal. I've told you you got a poverty consciousness. I've told you you got all these things that you're working on that you need to heal. I've told you that from day one. There's never been a time when I haven't told you you need to heal yourself from the way you were raised as a child. I've never, ever not told
What
you
I'm
that.
saying is that hasn't been your emphasis. Your emphasis is give more value to him so that he could give you what you want.
No, it's not my emphasis. I mean, with the dark masculine and the dark feminine discussion, it's always around. You can look at my reels and my clips on my page. It's always around power. That's what it's about. And you just stated the path to power is by healing your childhood traumas. So that's what it is. Now, do you want somebody to, is there another path to get men to choose you and be around you? Yes. If in that man's view you're a 10, so if you snap your fingers and you turn to Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? In terms of the money in your bank account, in terms of how she looks, in terms of her popularity, would that make you more desirable to me and to other men? Absolutely. So yes, beauty is a path to also attracting. There's a path to attracting what you want through that as well. So if you're upset that I've given you multiple options to increase your desirability to myself and to other men, then I'm sorry that you're upset about that. But yes, a woman focusing on her beauty, a woman focusing on her grace, a woman focusing on her look, a woman focusing on how she carries herself, a woman focusing on having money, a woman focusing on giving value. Like you just said, you sent me the article, Megan Thee Stallion gave her boyfriend Clay Thompson $50,000 and cooked some breakfast and all that kind of stuff. Do you think men find that valuable? Absolutely. Do you think men find, the fact that Megan Thee Stallion works on her body every day? She posts all these workout videos and she gets the surgeries and all these things to make herself look beautiful. Do you think that increases her desirability to men? Absolutely. So again, I don't know why you're upset about that. I'm telling you, yes, focus on your look. I focus on my look as a man. I make sure that I try to stay in shape. I make sure, that I stay well groomed and I stay well dressed. And, I just went and had a very minor procedure done to increase how I look. So what's the problem? Like, what are you complaining about? Why are you so angry? Yes, you need to do both of those things, Leslie. You've got to work on your childhood trauma to increase your power because you're not attracting what you want. Therefore, we know you're not powerful, and therefore we know there's more childhood trauma and healing to do. And yes, you also need to work on your beauty and your attractiveness and your grace and the way you carry yourself and your money. Yes, you got to work on both of those things. And it's not just about me. I mean, you can see that in terms of what you're able to attract and manifest with other people. But you're not going to act like I've been giving you, two, opposing messages. These are both feminine paths. Increasing your beauty is a feminine path. Increasing your power is a feminine path. Increasing your money and your ability to attract resources is a feminine path. Increasing your grace, increasing the way you carry yourself, increasing the way you treat people in terms of not being frantic and not being, drama filled and not being all these things, that is also a feminine path. So, yeah, I'm just giving you paths to increase your feminine flow so that you could possibly, attract the things you want in your life.
Okay, so what would it look like? What could it possibly look like if I have what I want with you, which is an abundance of time, and I'm not paying you any money, and my appearance has not changed at all?
What do you mean? What would it look like?
What would that look like?
I
Because
don't,
you're
I don't
saying
know.
that if I'm just powerful and I don't it doesn't I don't because I'm so powerful, I don't need to look like a 10 out of 10 and I don't need to pay you any money. But just because I'm powerful, I get what I want with you. So what does that look like?
I don't know. Have you seen me date a woman that you consider to be not as attractive as you?
I've seen you with plenty of unattractive women or
Okay,
less attractive than me.
so there you go. So you've seen me with women who are
But
unattractive.
I wouldn't necessarily say that they were get. In fact, most of the women that I've seen you with, whether they were good looking or not good looking, I've seen a ton of women complain that they're not getting enough time with you. The same thing that I complain about, regardless of what they look like. I've seen you with a lot of women, Rakhem, and it's the same thing. We're not getting enough time with him, not getting enough time with him, not getting enough time with him.
Again, you're going the frantic route again. Okay, so let's stay focused. Now, have you seen me date women who you consider to be unattractive?
Yes.
Have you seen those women get any time with me?
They get some time with all the women got some time with you.
Okay, so have they gotten more time with me than you've gotten in the past 6 years?
Well, everybody who's local to you automatically gets more time with you than
The
I do.
answer is a
If they're
yes or no
local.
question.
If they're local, they got more time with you, period, point blank.
Okay, so you feel that women who are not local, who are unattractive, have not gotten time with me. That's not true. I've dated women who you don't consider to be attractive, and they're not local, and they've gotten time with me. That's the truth of the matter. So the point is that these women have manifested that. Have they complained about it? Sure. My girlfriend who's over here right now, she complains about not having more time. She complains about us not talking more on the phone. That's fine. I get that. I've always told women out the gate, you're not going to get me up under you 24/7. I'm not going to communicate 24/7. Why? Everyone knows I like to be alone and by myself. That's how I write books. That's how I create these pictures and diagrams. That's how I create these systems. That's how I run my business. I want to be alone. So if you date me, if you try to, have a relationship with me, you have to understand that going in. So don't come into it and then complain about it later on. I tell all women out the gate, it's on my public pages, it's on posts, it's on videos. I've said repeatedly that I'm reclusive, borderline reclusive. So, yes, all women complain. My wife complains. All women complain about wanting more time and more whatever with Rakhem Seku. Okay? But to bring it back to your original statement, there is a difference between wanting more time because you just want to spend more time versus somebody who's getting no time. And so these women who are manifesting some time with me, at least they're getting some time. So that shows a level of power, it shows a level of, you know, um, magnetism that they have to at least get some time with me. So you can complain about these women or you can try to draw false comparisons between these women, but the fact of the matter is they're getting time with me. Again, even my current girlfriend, who you think is unattractive, she's getting time on me. Every single week, we're spending time. So you could try to justify it any kind of way you want to make yourself feel better about it. But the fact of the matter is what the fact of the matter is, which is if you're manifesting your life, if you're manifesting time with your man, then you're in your power. If you're not manifesting those things, then you're not. Okay, so you need to find one of the methods, either through healing childhood trauma and increasing your power, or by making yourself more desirable and more elegant and more beautiful, or whatever it is, to actually achieve that end. So it
Or
still
spend a
comes
lot of
back to
money
the
on you.
same basic thing.
Or spend a lot of money on you, like your current girlfriend.
Yeah, that's value, sure. And then men do value that. You just gave me an example of one of your clients. She spent money on a guy, brought him to Mexico, and then she got time with him. Without her spending that money on him, he wasn't going to come. We all know that. And you can say the reason why, well, he didn't have this, whatever. At the end of the day, she spent the money on him and he ended up in her bed. Period, point blank. So she might have different complaints, but she manifested him being in her space. Maybe her complaint is she wants him to have more money or she wants him to be more whatever, whatever. But that's a different level of the game. First level is, can you even manifest this man into your life, into your bed? Can you even manifest a dick in your pussy? That's level one. Now women are saying, okay, now we got the man. I want him to be more and to do more. That's a different level of power required to get him to that point. So again, don't make this more complicated than what it is.
All right, so let's move into the questions. The first question is pretty
But
much,
before you move into the questions, I mean, the real question is are you clear? I mean, this is about clarifying the concept that you're saying I'm giving you two different messages, or
Mhm.
that these two paths to manifesting are opposed to each other. I mean, do you have clarity or not? Because I'm not moving on until you have some level of clarity, because you keep coming back to this around and around and around, and it's just a waste of time.
Okay. Yes. There's three possible paths that you have advised me of in order to have more time with you. One is just raw power. Two is look more beautiful. And three is pay you money.
Well, no, so let's again the clarification. So you named two paths because there's actually three.
I said three,
But
raw
no,
power, the dark feminine, or look more beautiful, or pay you money. Those are
no.
three.
Look more beautiful and pay money is the same path. Those are both value increasers. So human beings value beauty. That's why advertising companies put beautiful women and beautiful men, or modeling companies put beautiful women and beautiful men on the cover of their magazines or to advertise their products. Why? Because beauty is value. Okay? So money is also value. So those are the same category. When I say add more value to a man or to a woman, that's what I mean. It could come in multitude of forms. That value path is the path of the lover or Oshun. She's rich and she's beautiful. And men will always be enchanted by that. She's always paid out. Now, men might judge where she gets her money from, right? Because one of the sub archetypes of the lover is what we call the heiress or the heiress, where she ends up inheriting money from her ex-husband or from other men or whatever. Like, men usually give her money as gifts. They give her estates. They give her all these things. So the lover's rich. Okay, so that's all value. When I say value, I mean anything that a man looks at and says, "Man, that's valuable to me." So, for example, like Clay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion, she gives him money. So even though he makes a lot of money, he finds it valuable to be with a woman who can also give him money. He doesn't want a one-way street. He wants to give her money and he wants her to give him money, and they have a beautiful exchange of energy. So beauty and money and grace and increasing your brand, those are all value based. And that's the path of the lover. Yes, there's also the path of the conservationist or the dark feminine, which is raw power. She doesn't need anything in order to attract what she wants in terms of beauty, because power supersedes all that. That's why you see women or sometimes men, they'll attract somebody into their life and you're like, they don't have anything. They're broke. They don't look good. They don't have their stuff together, but they still got the woman. They still got the man. How did they do that? Raw power. So the reason why the power path is important is because it supersedes everything else. You see what I'm saying? That's why you'll see me with women who are not expressly beautiful or don't have a lot of money because they bring something else to the table. Those are two paths, power and value. The third path is through the devotee archetype, right? That's somebody, that's a whole, I'm not going to go into that now, but that's a whole separate path. So the bottom line, what you're conflating and getting confused about are the three paths I've always talked about inside Pantheon, the Mystery School, PLA. We've always talked about the choice paradigm, the desire paradigm, and the reason why men are drawn to certain women. This is not a new concept. So you trying to conflate this into something where I'm trying to say like, one time I'm telling you power, next time I'm telling you to do something different. No, I've always talked about these three feminine archetypes. Everybody's known about these three feminine archetypes, and they've always known that these archetypes, these women, these feminine archetypes have always they brought something different to the table in terms of how they actually manifest men, how they actually manifest what they want from men. But it's a science that all three of them have. So it's not some kind of weird thing that I'm talking about. This is not brand new. I've always talked about these three feminine archetypes. And on the opposite side, I've talked about the masculine archetypes, the leader, the soldier, and the negotiator, and how what's appealing about them to women. So again, please don't conflate what I'm talking about. The lover's not broke. The lover is rich. I've always said she's the Fortuna minor. She's not as rich as the visionary. That's like, ultra wealth. But the lover's rich. I've always talked about the Fortuna minor. You can even look in traditional astrology and ask about the planet Venus. Does Venus govern any kind of money, any kind of wealth? Yes. So again, this whole concept where you're trying to separate money and beauty, wrong. They're both valuable assets to everybody on the planet, man or woman. When a beautiful woman walks into a room, all the women stop and stare. That's why a lot of these coaches and these influencers get a lot of hits and get a lot of followers because they just focus on their beauty. And women listen to what they say simply because they're beautiful. Even though what they're saying is nonsense or very basic, they still get followed. Same thing with other influencers like Derek Jackson. He's a very attractive, handsome, quote unquote, beautiful man. That's why the women are drawn to him. They're looking at his skin tone, at his height, at his body, all those things, and they're drawn to him. Again, he might be saying some great things too, but the point is the reason why he can go through all these different trials and tribulations, get divorced, cheat on his wife, now his new girlfriend is pregnant by another man on him. Like the reason why he can go through all those things and still maintain his followers and still maintain his following is because of that lover archetype. It's because he's a handsome, quote unquote, beautiful man, and that's valuable. Women are always going to value that. So again, you got to be clear because I don't want to come back to this, 6 months from now, like you complain again about what I'm saying. It's the same stuff I've been teaching since day one.
All right. So you're saying that my ego uh, interpreted what you were saying to me as either do this or do that, either be in your power or do the lover thing. And you're saying it's really more like a both and, or like any of the three, lover, devotee, conservationist, dark feminine. If I increase my or energy or ashe in any of those three categories, that's going to entice you to want to spend more time with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, utilizing any of the three feminine principles is going to attract men to you, period, point blank. Again, and let me just say this, you're talking to somebody who teaches this stuff. Like a lot of the stuff that you hear people talking about, the enlightened feminine, the divine feminine, the enlightened masculine, the divine masculine, the dark feminine, the dark masculine. Like these are things that people ultimately, one way or the other, kind of got from myself or Kenya or, other teachers who were older than them, right? So I'm a teacher I'm like one of the originators of this information, right? Which also means that I'm one of the people who's more proficient in dealing with these energies out in the world. So, you're asking me like, Rakhem, if I do this, will this attract you to me, X, Y, and Z? And the answer is yes. Generally, that's true, right? But at the same time, I also recognize these energies. Like I look at people online and I can tell if they're dark masculine or dark feminine. I can look at these individuals and see what they are, even though everybody's claiming to be dark feminine. Like on my post on not Instagram, but on TikTok, everyone, all these women claim to be dark feminine. You know what I'm saying? Almost every single one of them. And I
Mhm.
go and look at their profiles because I want to see, are they dark feminine? And I look at them and say, they're not. I can read the energy of who they are, the vibration of who they are, and tell if they are or not. Now, they might have, it's on a spectrum. So I don't want to say it's a yes or no thing. Like sometimes you might be a 2 out of 10 dark feminine or 5 out of 10 dark feminine. So I don't want to say they have zero, but ultimately, they don't really possess the dark feminine energy in terms of what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So,
I
me
would
being a
say that
master
the
of this stuff, I just want you to know, like, I see the energy coming.
Mhm.
Yep, does that make sense? Like, it's not like a woman's going to use dark feminine energy on me and I don't know she's using it.
Mhm.
The average man doesn't know, but I'm making a choice. Do I want to indulge this woman and be inside of her dark feminine energy? You see what I'm saying? Or do I want to indulge this woman and be inside of her love or attractiveness or her gifts? There's a ton of women around who they buy me dinner, they buy me gifts, they buy me clothes, they buy me all the stuff. But I still see it for what it is. Oh, she's coming through the lover archetype. Do I want to indulge in that? Yes or no?
I feel that the women on TikTok that they said that they were dark feminine, they were basing it on the definition that you provided. And one of the things that you emphasized or seemed to emphasize in your definition was that this is a woman who's very sexually skilled. And so when a man has sex with her, he's, completely turned out. And so the women, they were like, oh yeah, I'm dark feminine because, I'm so sexual. And I think that's why they were saying that on your like like you were their ego um took it as oh yeah I'm so skilled in the bedroom so I'm dark feminine.
And based on your discussion with your clients, right? Because I know you've had clients who've also thought that about themselves, right?
Mhm.
Have you seen cases where the women said that they were sexually skilled like that, but still couldn't manifest what they wanted with their man?
Yeah, lots. A
Right.
lot of women, they say they're amazing in the bedroom, but then when I question them, I find out they're really not that skilled.
Absolutely. So you understand like women will still claim that they're dark feminine because they have this great sexual skill, but then come to find out what they're calling sexual skill really isn't really sexual skill.
Absolutely. Women exaggerate greatly.
Yes.
Um, but I still think I'm dark feminine, even if you don't. And here's why. Here's why. Because a lot of people over the years who know both of us, they have said to me, like, I don't understand how it is that you and Rakhem are even talking to one another. I don't get it. Like you guys have been through hell and back like multiple times. He's written a whole chapter on you in his book, The Art of Open Relating, Volume 3, and he titled it The Craziest Bitch on Earth. Like you have put it out there to the world that I'm the worst woman on the planet. You put it in writing. And so when people see you still talking to me and doing business with me, they're like, what the fuck? Like, how is this even happening? They can't even believe it. It's incomprehensible that you're still talking to me. So to me, that is an indication that I do have dark feminine power.
Yeah, so let me just say a couple things. You made a comment just now saying you're the worst woman on earth. I never made that statement.
You've put that out there.
I've never said you were the worst woman on earth. I've said you were crazy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference between the worst woman and being crazy. So again, let's just talk facts here. Everyone knows I'm drawn to crazy women. Like I've never not said that. When people look at the women that I date, they're like, Rakim, what the fuck? You see what I'm saying? Like, why are you giving them time? Why are you having sex with them? They're not necessarily the most beautiful. They act crazy. There's a bunch of drama. Like, what's up with that? Right? Yeah, like for me, I'm drawn to crazy women because again, there's power in that. There's value in that. Now let's go to you in terms of you being a dark feminine woman. again, I just mentioned that there's a spectrum for it, right? So scores 1 through 10 in terms of your dark feminine woman score, right? So I absolutely agree that yes, you are a dark feminine woman, and to whatever degree you are effective at manifesting certain things into your life, right? But what's the measure for you specifically? The measure for you is Rakhem Seku and money. That's your standard that you put out there. You didn't say, hey, can I attract Jordan? Can I attract Halim? Can I attract these other lanes? Right? That's not your standard. Your standard is, according to you, and let me know if I'm wrong. Your standard is, look, Rakim, I can attract these other men out here, and I have attracted them. They all want to fuck me, right?
Mhm.
But you're the one that I want to be with. When I say I don't consider you a dark feminine, I'm going based on your standard and your standard alone. Now, if we took me out the equation, absolutely, you've got dark feminine energy and potential, and I see those qualities and characteristics within you. But you're trying to attract and be with a master of all this stuff, and you insist that's the only measure, that's the only thing that you want, and you also want to be rich. So based on your standard and what you put out there, that's why I'm saying you're not a dark feminine because you haven't hit the mark to attract the things that you said you wanted for the past 5 years and 10 years. So that's where I'm coming from. So if we take me out the equation, then absolutely you're a dark feminine. But I'm going based on what you're claiming that you want for yourself. And from that standpoint, you're not a dark feminine. And that's not just for you. It's the same thing with your clients, right? And my clients. When your client comes to you and says, yeah, I want X, Y, and Z for my womb choice, is not giving it to me, well, guess what? You're not a dark feminine. Now, if we cut your womb choice out, your dark masculine man out, and these other men who are trying to take you out to dinner and be with you, you see what I'm saying? Then absolutely, they're willing to spend money on you, they're willing to marry you, they're willing to do all these things, then yes, dear, you are a dark feminine. But because you're trying to do that with your dark masculine, I'm talking about you talking to your clients now, right? Because you're trying to do that to your dark masculine, he's saying no or ghosting you or whatever it is, then I can't give you the dark feminine label because you insist that this is what you want and you're not able to attract it.
Mhm.
So I just want you to know my logic in terms of how I look at this. And it's
Okay.
important for me to make that distinction because I'm coaching women to get what they want. And so I have to be honest with them. A lot of women, yes, they are dark feminists, but guess what? They're rejecting the men and the opportunities that are actually showing up at their door. And they said, I want this guy or this guy. I said, well, they're coming to you? No. Okay, well, we got work to do. If you want these two guys or one of these two guys, we've got serious work to do because you're not vested enough in your dark feminine energy to attract these men into your life. Okay?
Understood. I have not hit the target yet. That doesn't mean I won't. That doesn't mean I won't. I
No, no, no.
believe
But
I
I
will.
think I think you have actually hit the target from a relationship standpoint with me. So meaning, not fully, but again, you can come see me whenever you want. So that door has been open for you, right? So again, it was open
Only
before.
just recently.
Well, but before the 2020 thing you were talking about, that door was open, right? And then it closed because I went into I was in a closed like triad situation.
Mhm.
So I wasn't really dating other women. It wasn't just you I wasn't dating. There's a lot of women who want to date me, who want to be with me, and I wasn't being with anybody. You see what I'm saying? And then that door reopened. And so now I'm dating women again and that kind of stuff, like more like I was before 2020, right?
Mhm.
So that door is open for you. It's open back up. But again, now you're working on some other aspects of your life so that you can actually fully create what you want with me. Because again, I'm available. And let me just say this to you, just so you're clear. I have thought about coming to see you like over the past 2 or 3 months. Like I've looked at different opportunities for me to come see you. But again, like I've got a whole life going. I've got a brand new business, not even Pantheon. I got like a business separate from Pantheon and things I'm working on and that kind of stuff. And I really haven't been dating women like that in general. Like I've really been almost exclusive to like 1 or 2 women over the past maybe even year. You see what I'm saying? So my scheduling and my workload, all that has changed and focus. But again, the door is open for you. So from that standpoint, yeah, you have manifested me as somebody that you can be with, but you got to get some other things in order for that to make that happen. And I'm not the resistance there anymore.
Okay, fair enough. I will make you come to Toronto.
Like
Make that happen.
I said, I'm open to it. I've been open to it.
Okay.
But I've been looking at my situation. I thought about it a couple of days ago, but I've been looking at my situation. Okay, when do I actually have time to do that? Like I got a lot going on here in Houston.
I just think that I have a lot of untapped raw energy that if you really tapped into, like it would be beneficial to you. Like I don't understand why you're not here fucking me. Like it just doesn't even make sense. Like you know I have raw power. I know that you know this.
Yes, you actually have raw power, even based on your chart. Have you read your chart, your master personality profile report?
Yes, I know that my three bag was like
Did you read? But did you read the section where it talks about axis alignments?
yes. And I asked you about that and you haven't answered me.
Okay, well we can talk about it later. But you have a very powerful configuration,
Mhm.
and like you said earlier, you were rough around the edges earlier on in our relationship. You see what I'm saying? Because we were spending time together, we were doing business together.
Mhm.
Like right now, we're doing this podcast thing together, even though it's your podcast, but we're still working together. We've done podcasts before. We've done podcasts before. We've done classes together. We've done ritual stuff together. Like we've done a lot together over the years. So it's not like we haven't worked together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like as a matter of fact, I got to talk to you about, you coming on board with Pantheon. I meant to reach out to you. We can talk about it after this call.
Mhm.
But we've always worked together. So it's not like I've been denying who you are in terms of your talent, in terms of, who you are as a woman, your power. I've never denied any of that stuff. I've only been hard on you with these discussions because, again, you said the measure is money and me. And so, based on you saying that, that's the conclusion I draw. But I've
Mhm.
always acknowledged who you are as a powerful woman. And I've told you I enjoy it when we're together physically. When I'm in your presence, I've always enjoyed being around you.
Mhm.
So I've never denied any of those things. If,
Yeah.
if if it wasn't that, then we wouldn't even be talking right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I just I have not hit the target. So there's still work to do and I'm working on it.
I know you are.
I'm
I know
working
you
on
are.
hitting the target, on having an abundance of time with you, an abundance of money. And I will meet the targets. I'm certain of that.
Absolutely. I agree.
I just I feel like we have more work to do, you
Yeah,
know.
I agree.
You're supposed to be here. Like we have things like we're not just here to talk about dark feminine, dark masculine just for the fun of it. Like we have work to do. Like you talk about my chart, the peacekeeper is one of my archetypes. The peacekeeper likes the soul choice. And I've been thinking, I think, what, maybe he's not just a womb choice, maybe he's a soul choice because I feel like we have a mission to fulfill. I don't feel that I just happen to be in your life for the last 15 years just for the hell of it.
I totally agree with that. 100%. Like if I didn't feel like we had something to do or that the connection wasn't valuable, again, I would not be with you. I would not even maintain a connection or communication. Like I would literally, we wouldn't be talking at all. So I don't want you to think that I don't understand that. I again on our past podcast when we had that one podcast where you wanted to do all the venting and all that kind of stuff, I acknowledged who you were. I acknowledged your talents. I acknowledged, the greatness that I saw in you and all those things. And like I said, with the Pantheon stuff, I want to bring you on to do some specific work within Pantheon. So there's never been a time I haven't acknowledged who you were. Now, the conflation with all that is again, you not recognizing who you are, and which leads you to act crazy a lot historically. You see what I'm saying? Because to me, that's that lack of self confidence and that lack of self recognition that comes out as what I mean, like just craziness because you're concerned you won't be able to attract what you want. So you take these other methods and paths to try to make it happen, which manifests as drama and craziness and talking crazy and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's been a conflation over the years. But like I said, in terms of who you actually are, I've always acknowledged that.
I feel that I help you to sharpen your blade. And what I mean by that is that yes, the whole womb choice concept, you and Kenya have been talking about that for years, but it's only within the last year or so that you've really like dived in deep in terms of your marketing about this. And that's because of me. That's because
Absolutely.
of me.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know?
and just for clarity for you, that's not even something I want to dive into. Dark masculine, dark feminine. I'm only I'm only promoting it like that because of us doing these podcasts. And again, I'm looking for, okay, if I'm gonna give her a podcast and I'm gonna be on it, I need something to get out of it. So that's where the clips come in, right? But I mean, that's not something that that's not my passion, dark feminine, dark masculine work or whatever. Like I understand it, or I have my understanding of it, you see what I'm saying? But I'm only doing that because I need clips if I'm going to do these podcasts with you. I got to get something. You're not going to pay me.
Mhm. It's not
So
just the clips. You're also doing it on your private Instagram and your private like it's not just the clips, Rakhem. You're talking about this all the time, even in
no,
your men's group.
I don't talk about it. I've had one
I'm not
call.
saying it's the only thing you talk about, but you do talk about it a lot.
I don't talk about it a lot. No. Really, the clips are the main thing. Seriously, I've done one class with the men where I've talked about it. Well, I talked about the dark feminine, one with the dark masculine, because the men watch my men in my men's group watch my clips online, so I have to explain it to them. In the my Instagram group, maybe
You're doing something today, tonight, again, talking about it.
tonight. No,
You put a thing on your Instagram. You're going to talk
I'm
about your
Rob.
Instagram, whatever it is, private group.
No, that's different. I know
Okay,
what
whatever.
you're saying. But that's different.
Okay,
We
let me say this. The dark feminine, dark masculine, I am passionate about it. Okay, that's how I was able to stay with you these last 15 years of hell and torture. I am passionate about it because you know what? A lot of women, millions of women are suffering in this relationship dynamic and they don't understand it. And they're looking for advice. And the advice that they're being given is some bullshit. And it's not even just that I feel for these women. It's also that I feel that without the dark feminine on board, like this planet is fucked. Completely fucked. Gaza would not be happening right now if it wasn't for the lack of the dark feminine. All this bullshit that's happening in the world would not be happening if it wasn't for the lack of the dark feminine. So I'm extremely passionate about this topic. I'm doing this for humanity. There's not enough dark feminine. That's why there's so much injustice. That's why there's so much suffering. Because the women en masse are not in their power. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
partly. I think the women there are enough women in the dark feminine, but I think Leslie, you don't understand the nature of women fully. Um, Most women are not interested in healing the planet.
I
Most women
agree.
want what they want. They want the dick that they want. They want the lifestyle they want. That's the issue with the dark. There's enough dark feminine on the planet right now to heal everything that's happening. The issue is that they don't have an interest in doing that. And that's what I also try to talk about.
You really believe that? That women don't give a fuck about what's happening on the planet?
I believe there's enough women right now, dark feminine women, and powerful women, and enlightened feminine. Like I believe there's enough conscious women and enough women in their power right now to heal the planet. We just had the healing ceremony at Pantheon on Sunday.
Mhm.
The reason why we had that was because we know that as Pantheon, we can heal the planet. You see what I'm saying? So it's the issue is that these women, and this is for the men too, but they're not focused on healing the planet. I think there's a false narrative that the feminine is benevolent and good by nature. That's not true. These women are assassins. You see what I'm saying? They give a fuck in the same way the masculine is that way. You understand? So the degree to which the masculine is benevolent is the same degree to which the feminine is benevolent. The degree to which the masculine is, evil and all that kind of stuff, the feminine reflects that in the same exact way in quantity. So my thing is, if the dark feminine woman on the planet right now decided to end whatever it is, Gaza or, you know, not even Gaza, what's going on in
I
Africa?
see.
Like, what's going on in Africa?
Okay.
Like, people seem to
Congo,
ignore that.
Sudan.
Yeah, the children, like, they're working 15, 20 hours a day. Like, people seem to ignore that for the past 30, 40, 50 years. And all the starvation and the disease and people don't have clean water and that kind of stuff. I believe if the dark feminine focused on that, it would be fixed. With it probably within like a 15, 10 to 15 years. But I feel like there's not enough women who are interested in actually doing that.
That's sad to hear. That's sad. That's really sad. So maybe it's my peacekeeper that feels this way.
Your peacekeeper absolutely feels that way. Your peacekeeper wants to heal the world. Your peacekeeper wants everybody to feel good, everybody to have what they want in terms of resources, everybody to have food and money and peace and all that. That's your peacekeeper archetype. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. And I'm not judging these women or these men who are not interested in helping out to heal the world. I have no judgment on that because I understand people get caught up in their lives, people get caught up in whatever they're dealing with. But I think that's what it is. If we actually had enough people who were interested in healing the world, it would be healed.
All right, I got to get to the questions, Rakhem. Like, like we're running out of time. Let me pull up the list of questions. Let's try to run through it. Okay, so I mean, we kind of covered this, but I'd asked you this before. A lot of anxious attachment coaches, the advice that they're giving to women is, yeah, heal your childhood wounds, and then you'll find your king and live happily ever after. How does your advice differ from that?
Well, first of all, they got their advice, that advice they got from me or Kenya, right? Because a lot of these people, they either watch our stuff or they talk to somebody who's watched us or whatever. That's why their advice is incomplete. So what these women are saying is heal your childhood trauma and you'll find your king, right? But that's not really exactly what it is. What it is you heal your childhood trauma so you can actually be inside your power so you can manifest what you want. These women are basically saying that they're castigating the women saying you shouldn't be with your dark masculine. Do you agree with that?
Yes,
Yeah, and these women are also monogamous minded. Do you agree with that?
100%.
Right. So they're coming from a different perspective. They're coming from, look, you woman, you are wrong in even being attracted to him in the first place.
Yes.
So let's heal you so that you can no longer be attracted to this man or a man like that ever again.
Mhm.
And go pick a quote unquote good guy, right?
Yep.
And marry him and be with him and that kind of thing, right? Um, that's just it's not really realistic. The feminine is more dynamic than that. The feminine wants good dick. The feminine wants passion. She wants intensity and she wants to increase her power. And so she's going to continue to attract men like this. These men will always be attractive to women, always. And it's not quote unquote bad or negative for women to be attracted to them and engage with them and have relationships and that kind of stuff. One thing I will say is, it's also because there's like this negative narrative out there that a woman can't be with her dark masculine, like married to him or in a relationship with him, and that's not true either. Like the solution is not always leave your dark masculine and go be with somebody else. Sometimes that's it, but sometimes it's like, look, you need to learn how to be in relationship with him. So yeah, my advice is different, but again, they're getting that stuff from me with the healing the childhood traumas and all that kind of stuff.
All right. So the next question is, and this is something that, women who have a lot of money, who are spending money on their dark masculine man, and they eventually get frustrated. How can those women determine if the dark masculine is using her for her money or not?
How can she determine if he's using her for her money? It's not a, again, that's just what I'm talking about. Um, it doesn't matter if he's using her for her money. Of course he's using her for her money. You understand? Again, that's the value part I was talking about. Like, yes, he's attracted to the fact that she has money in the same exact way that women are attracted to men who have money. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a different thing. Like, again, go back to the Megan Thee Stallion example you sent me earlier on Instagram. Like, women also are powerful in balling out, you know what I'm saying? And have money and spend, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not a man thing to have money. It's a human thing. It's a wealth consciousness thing to have money. So yes, if I have money, automatically I know that part of the reason why, not all necessarily, it depends on the woman, but part of the reason why these women are with me is because of my money and the lifestyle. I can afford them. Yes. But what's the problem with that? If I'm getting what I want from her and she's getting what she wants from me, that should be okay. I don't, that's the thing. I don't understand what the issue is with somebody leveraging their money or leveraging their looks or leveraging the fact they got good pussy or good dick or what. What's the problem with that? I don't get it. Why should I be with you if you don't have anything to offer? You got no looks, no money, no good pussy, no good dick, no good conversation. You're a crash out. You're drama filled. Like why are people even choosing to be with you? The only reason why people choose to be with people is because you bring something valuable to the table. Money, good looks, good dick, whatever it is. Good conversation, you cook, whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? That's the value thing that gets lost in all this stuff, and it's just crazy to me. So yes, we know why Jeff Bezos' wife married him. Okay, let's not pretend. If he was working a corporate job making $50,000 a year, you think she would have married him?
No.
No, she wouldn't even know who he is.
Next question. How is, and this kind of pertains more to your wife, but also women
Sure.
that are like her. So how is it that some women seem to have it all? They've got the looks, they've got the money, they've got the career success, they have all the check marks, and yet their relationship with their dark masculine man is fucked up.
Yes, great. Because those are two different skills. So a lot of women and men think this too, unfortunately. This is crazy. But a lot of women think just because they have a career or they have money, that the skill and the talent required to manifest the career and be good at their career and make money translates automatically into relationships. It does not. Those are two separate sets of talents. Okay, so one talent is, can I go out in the world and make money? Do I have a wealth consciousness in that way? And if you do, and you go out and you learn that, that works in the business world. Romance is over here on the opposite side. Romance requires that you communicate, that you have empathy for people, that you work together, that you figure things out, that you show up, and all these things. Those are not qualities that are necessary in business. The communication you do in business is different than the communication you do in a relationship. So a lot of women conflate those two things. They think, like, I've seen actors like Taraji P. Henderson and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people, women, they just think that because they've made it, quote unquote, that they should automatically get a relationship. And they think because they don't have one, that there's something wrong with the men out here in the world, which is complete comedy. No, you don't know how to cultivate relationships. Your mindset is completely fucked up when it comes to actually manifesting a relationship. And you need help. You need support. You need to talk to somebody who can help you, realign and rebalance your perspective and teach you the skills required to be successful in relating. They don't have they're separate skills. I've dealt with that my whole life, coaching clients that have been successful financially, like millions. But when it comes to relationships, it's a zero.
So my next question is, why do some dark masculine men lie to women? Um, so like in your wife's case, she's a polyamorous woman. She's been polyamorous just as long as you've been polyamorous. And yet her dark masculine man lied to her about one of his other girlfriends. He kept it a secret. And he's not the only one. Like I'm not just making this about him. This has happened to my clients as well, where they said to the man, look, we could be poly, we could be open, we don't have to hide anything. You could tell me whatever. I'm accepting. And the man still lies. Why is that?
Well, um, these men are being labeled dark masculine by these women, right? So here's my question to you. For example, the person you're talking about, do you think he would be labeled a dark masculine to all women?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so again, remember, just that's an important thing because the dark masculine, dark feminine label is relative to the person assigning it to their particular partner. That's number
Mhm.
one. Number two, just because you're being labeled a dark masculine doesn't mean you are, and doesn't mean that you are walking fully in your power. So there's people out here who are actually dark masculine or actually dark feminine. Those individuals don't have a need to lie. They'll either not say anything about it or just tell you what it is and move on. The same thing with the enlightened masculine, enlightened feminine. They'll just tell you what it is and move on. But most people out here that we're talking about, they're not really in their power like that. They're still learning, you see what I'm saying, to, accept themselves. They're still doing the inner child work and trying to heal themselves and all those types of things. So the reality is, yeah, they might be labeled a dark masculine, but doesn't mean they actually are. And even the people who are, quote unquote, doesn't mean that their healing is done. Doesn't mean they still don't have issues. Doesn't mean that they are experts in every area. Remember, the dark masculine and feminine, especially the dark feminine, what's her thing? Her thing is power. Okay? But there's three traits that govern being a god or goddess being on the planet, right? One is power, one is knowledge or wisdom, and the third one is oneness. Oneness means, do you have the ability to connect with all things and all people? To literally be one with all? Do you realize that you're one with all? Can you actually, walk in your life as a being who is one with all things, all people, right? That's one aspect of God, oneness. The other one is wisdom. Like, do you know what life is about? Do you understand who you are? Do you understand what's happening? Do you understand why you're related with this person? You see what I'm saying? That's wisdom. The third one is power. That's when you kind of push through and make things happen and manifest your life. So just because somebody has a lot of power doesn't mean they're necessarily wise or that
Mhm.
they have, the trait of oneness of God. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What your wife and other people have said to me is that with these men in general who they lie even when they don't need to lie,
Mhm.
is that it's a childhood pattern. So maybe they had an overbearing mother, a controlling mother, and
Mhm.
so they learned that lying was the only way to maintain their autonomy, to have their own space that the mother couldn't control. Do you agree with that theory?
Absolutely. And do you understand that that's what we mean when we say heal childhood traumas? So if I had to lie as a child to protect myself, and we all had to do that on some level, especially in the black community. We had to lie or pretend or do something just to survive and not get the wrath of our parents, right? So healing childhood trauma means, oh, I don't have to do that anymore as an adult. And here's the ways that that behavior is still coming out in my life today. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I agree with that. And that's what I mean when I say heal childhood trauma. That's the kind of behavior that translates over into adulthood. Now, one of the things that, happens in ancient culture and that we try to do within Pantheon is, you're supposed to be initiated out of the child before you are called an adult. And that's what their intention was with the initiation. Because they know if you're not initiated, then you're going to bring all that childhood crap or a lot of it over into your adulthood, and you'll be in an adult body, but still be influenced by the inner child. So the purpose of initiation was to get you out of that childhood stuff. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? To actually be a full grown man, to be a full grown and mature woman, and now you can actually make adult decisions. So yes, that's what we're talking about, and I agree with that.
So what should women do when their dark masculine man is lying to them? What should a woman do?
Well, most of these women are liars themselves, and that's a reflection. So, you know, one of the reasons why you attracted him is because he's your mirror in some particular kind of way. These women are usually full of it themselves, and you have to look and find, okay, how am I lying? First of all, they're lying to him, right? They're saying things that just are not true, or they're withholding information from him. You see what I'm saying? Like they don't know that, like he doesn't know that if she gets the opportunity, that she'll get pregnant by him. You know what I'm saying? Like she knows this in her head that if there's a high likelihood that I, want to have his baby and will. You see what I'm saying? But she hasn't told him that. and or that her goal, even though they've agreed to just do this and that, her goal is to be married to this guy. Like, so these women tend to lie to the dark masculine. They withhold information. That's what we call the feminine form of lying. The feminine form of lying is to withhold information. The masculine form of lying is to say something that's not true. You swap out one reality with another one, with a false one, right? So the women are doing the feminine form of lying. I talk about this in my book, Tame Your Woman. So yeah, if they're willing to come to grips with how they lie, then they'll see his lies go away, because now you've manifested in him the ability to tell the truth. Now, why would he tell the truth to you? Because you resolved your own inner lies. He'll tell the truth because he sees that within you. He sees that you are truthful. He sees that you are honest. He sees you're not going to crash out, when he expresses his truth, because you're expressing things that would potentially make him crash out. You see what I'm saying? And so now that's how you build trust in a relationship. You can't build trust and real and true intimacy unless there's like you can actually talk about the real deal. That's what people don't understand. People are still hiding their truth from the person that they're with and then wondering why there's no intimacy and no closeness. And that's what it is. These women are lying. They're lying to themselves. They're withholding information. And they're not going to be able to get closer to the dark masculine or any man until they begin to resolve that within themselves.
Wow, that's deep. All right, moving on. One of the challenges I had recently, when I was talking to somebody on Facebook, and I was talking to them about the dark masculine being the warrior and this and that. And they were like, that doesn't make any sense because the warrior archetype is willing to sacrifice, himself or his own needs, for the good of others. And so he was saying, well, like, I don't see how these fuck boys, because that's the term he was using. I don't see how they're warriors because they're not making any sacrifice of themselves for the woman. So what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, what's your definition of a fuckboy?
They most people, it seems like a man, like he fucked her and then she wanted to have a relationship and he wouldn't agree to have a committed relationship. So he's a fuck boy.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. So first of all, there's nothing wrong with a man having sex with a woman and not getting into a committed relationship. That's not a negative thing. The only time that you can count it as negative is if he promised, yes, we'll be committed before they had sex, and then he didn't,
Mhm.
right? So that's a liar and a deceiver. Okay. Um, Now, yes, the if you're in your warrior archetype, then yes, you are going to make sacrifices on behalf of, you know, um, for whatever your goal is, for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. But here's the thing that this guy not don't understand. If I'm the warrior, I choose what I'm going to sacrifice for, who I'm going to sacrifice for, and when. It's not, you don't automatically get to commandeer my warriorship and automatically think I'm going to sacrifice for you because it's what you want.
Mhm.
Remember, the warrior archetype, he doesn't give a fuck about other people's opinions or what they want. He has a particular set of tasks and focus in his mind about what he's going to do, and that's all it is. Like, people automatically assume, oh, you're a warrior, you're going to sacrifice for me. What? No, I'm going to sacrifice on my behalf and my goals and the people I want to sacrifice for, but you can't just bust in, and assume I'm going to sacrifice for you, even if we have sex, if we have a sexual relationship. It doesn't automatically put you in that thing where I'm going to sacrifice myself for you. No, we didn't talk about that. We didn't agree to that. Now, again, if we talked about it and agreed to it, somebody who's in their warrior archetype would do that. He would sacrifice on behalf of the woman. Let me say one other thing before you move on. It's not up to her what that sacrifice looks like. So if I'm the one that's supposed to sacrifice, then that means I know what I need to sacrifice to achieve the goal. It's not up to her to look at me and say, well, Rakhem, you should have sacrificed this and stop talking to this woman and stop doing it. No, fuck off. You see what I'm saying? I'll tell you what needs to be sacrificed so we can hit the goal at hand. Again, that's also the role of the warrior. The warrior chooses. It's not like other people, and these are people who are not even willing to sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? You can't tell a warrior what to sacrifice and when. You can never do that. He'll be the judge. So that's two things. One is, A, he's going to choose who and what he sacrifices for to begin with, and you can't assume it's going to be you. And two, if he is going to sacrifice for you and for the relationship, he'll be the one to decide what gets sacrificed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so here's the example that I had given to the gentleman. And, people are crazy because they still will blame the dark masculine. So the example I gave was a client I had a few years ago. At the time, she had a king, she had a support choice. They were living together. And she told me she had never had a vaginal orgasm ever in her life. And she was in her 30s. And so she knew this guy that was a Tantra practitioner. He was living in Spain. He was polyamorous. She knew he was polyamorous. And she left America, flew over to Spain to have a session with him. And she paid him money. And that same day that he had sex with her, she had multiple vaginal orgasms and squirted for the first time in her life. The first time in her life. So after she comes back to the United States, she then decides that, she's in love with him and she wants him to stop being polyamorous and be monogamous with her. And he wasn't willing to agree to that. And so she felt that, like, he's not a real man. He doesn't want to grow up. Something's wrong with him. He's a little boy. Like, he's in the wrong because he wouldn't agree to monogamy with this woman who never had an orgasm until she fucked him. This
Yeah.
is how people see things. Like, okay, you fucked her. Well, you shouldn't have fucked her because by fucking her now, you should have known that she would become attached to you. And so if you were a real mature man, you would have decided, you know what, let me not fuck this woman because she's going to be attached to me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that mindset is crazy. So, no, these are adults. Okay, so these are two people having consensual sex. So I talked about this on your podcast a while back when I said, you know, when you connect with somebody, you are supposed to bring your A game every time. Like, I'm not supposed to hold back when I meet somebody, or when we have sex for the first time or any time. I'm supposed to bring my full, organic, authentic self to, you know, that sexual encounter. That's number one. Number two, for her to believe that just because she had a dynamic experience with him, that he's got to be committed to her, that's complete insanity. That is I mean, that is. I don't even know what to say about that. I really wanted you to speak on that, but because that is so crazy. But yeah, that's how people are. That's like going to a massage therapist and you have an amazing massage that heals all your issues and all that kind of stuff. And now you only want them to massage you and nobody else. Like, people are just whacked out. This is what monogamous culture has infected people's brains with. So that you feel entitled. You have a good experience with somebody, you feel entitled to be able to claim that for yourself for the rest of your life and only yourself. But no, you don't. She doesn't. This is not slavery. She doesn't own him. He's a man with his free will, and he needs to continue to live his life and cultivate, his greatness and cultivate his sexuality, all those things. I just don't even understand that mentality. But I get it. Like, she had a great experience and it was mind blowing, all that. She should be thankful. You know what I mean? Like, that was, she could have gone her whole life and never had that experience. She should be thankful to him. She should be honoring him. She should be giving him gifts and lifting him up and find out when they can meet again. That's what it should be.
Yeah, yeah. All right. One of the main problems that my clients have is that the people around them, so their girlfriends, their family members, don't understand this relationship and they actively try to talk them into exiting the relationship. And so it's very hard for women to do the work to heal the relationship when everybody around them, including all the people that they're looking at on social media, except for me and you, and your wife, everybody around them is telling them that this man is no good. He's a waste of fucking time. Leave his ass. How can women deal with that?
And she's in a dark masculine situation.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, women that are in this scenario, usually everybody around them is telling them this guy's no good. Leave him.
Right.
How
Yeah, I
do
mean,
you deal with that pressure?
well, again, I mean, the issue is that she's not clear on why she's with him. So if she were to get clear on why she's with him, that she's learned to be inside of her power and unlock her feminine power, then it wouldn't affect her that these people were saying that. I mean, these people are right to say what they're saying because they just see her, in a situation where she's not really getting what she wants and also being hurt and that kind of stuff. So they're just trying to get her out of it. Like they don't understand she's inside of an initiation, that she has an opportunity here, not just to have a great connection with somebody and have the best sex of her life, but also to be inside of her feminine power. So they don't understand that. So they're just coming from we don't want to see her go through the pain and the suffering. So we'll say anything we got to say to get her out of it. You see what I'm saying? But the important thing is she needs to understand why she's in the situation. That's the key. That's how you get through it. You get through it by understanding, okay, why did I attract this man into my life? And what do I need to do to make sure I get the most out of this situation and actually come into my power and do the healing, the childhood trauma healing, and do all those things? That's what, when she understands that and realizes that, then she'll be fine.
My next question, how do dark masculine men, in your opinion, feel about being labeled as a narcissist or as an avoidant? Like, does that affect men, or do the men just not give a fuck?
Yeah, I think it depends on the man. I mean, I think unfortunately, I think men look at women nowadays and be like, they're just crazy as hell, right? So they're gonna put these labels out there, right? So it kind of diminishes um, the value and diminishes the regard that men hold women in. Because now men are just saying, look, we just don't, whatever they think, whatever they believe is just, we just throw it away. And so now you have a situation where men are really discounting women. They're like, oh, what a woman does is when she doesn't get her way in a relationship, she labels a man a narcissist. You see what I'm saying? So men are saying, okay, well, just that's how women are. Don't listen to anything they say. Everything that they say is bullshit, pretty much. You see what I'm saying? And you actually hear some people talk about that online. Even women are saying that online. Like there's a couple of women influencers, like one of them is real popular. She says, yeah, men should never believe a woman.
Mm.
But so that's what happens. So what happens is now you've lost credibility because you label every time you don't get what you want and every time you don't take accountability for your actions and your situation, you put the blame on the man and label him a narcissist and label him this and that. And so we know you're crazy as hell. We know you're nuts. We know you got a mental illness. You see what I'm saying? It's different than if for most of her situations she took accountability. Yeah, this is what happened when I did this, I did that. I should have changed some things or whatever. But this one situation, like he said he would do this and he didn't do that, and he completely, repeatedly lied and all that kind of stuff. And she acknowledges her stuff in the process, then that holds more credibility then, right? And especially when the things that she's saying match up with what psychologists say these are the actual traits of somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. Because if those things match up now, then yeah, now you have credibility. But it's being used right now. This we talked about in your last podcast. It's being used right now as a loose term to escape accountability for your actions and choices. The same thing with the avoidant thing, like calling all men avoidant. When I told you on the last podcast, that's the way a lot of men are just in general. That's the way masculine energy moves. Masculine energy is not going to get attached to hardly anything. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's dangerous for women because you lose credibility. People gonna look at you like you're just crazy as fuck.
So this is my next question, because I know you have some resistance to the idea of worshiping a woman. So how do you differentiate between the terms prioritization, submission, and worship? Because you said you want women to prioritize you,
Yeah.
not necessarily worship you or submit to you. So like how do you define these things?
Well, first of all, I'm not against worship. Yeah, as long as the person's choosing to do that. These are all roles that that we're choosing to play. You see what I'm saying? Like they're just roles inside the relationship. So yeah, you can choose to worship the woman. That's great. She loves that, right? You can either do it every day, or you can do it during certain, times of the year, or whatever you want to do. You see what I'm saying? So I think worship is great. The issue with worship is like women believe that they're entitled to that. That's the issue I have with the worship thing. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? You're not entitled to be worshipped. What are you talking about? The man can choose to worship you, and if he does that, great. You guys are in agreement. So there's no issue with worship. But worship means you look at this person as basically a god or goddess being on the planet, and you shower them with gifts, you shower them with offerings. Yes, you also prioritize them. Are you going to be submissive to them? You could be to a degree. I mean, there's submissiveness inside worship, but you might not be. I mean, you can be a warrior and worship somebody. You see what I'm saying? And go out and do things on their behalf. Prioritization just means you consider them before you consider anybody else when you make a decision or a choice or whatever. So, and anything I do, if I'm going to call a woman, I'm going to think about, does my wife, is she okay with this? Yes or no? If I don't know, or if the answer is no, then I don't call the woman. If the answer is yes, then I can call her, right? So prioritization means that everything I do, I think about her first. Submission means I'm going to listen to what she says. I'm going to do the things that she wants based on how she wants the relationship to look. So I'm going to fit into her vision of what the relationship is, and that's what submission is.
Okay, great response. So some women, okay, a lot of women, they complain about the man, the dark masculine man, and they want him to change. But then when they're presented with the idea of utilizing dark feminine power to influence him so that he does change, a lot of women feel conflicted about that. They feel like somehow that is unethical or immoral. And so even though they want the result, they're like, I don't know if it's okay to utilize power in that kind of way. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's understood. I mean, that's what religion has done to our society. A lot of things that religion puts down is authentic feminine expression. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, feminine expression, it has a metaphysical component to it, has a mysterious component to it. And if you have been exposed to Western religion for a period of time, which we all have, you can be conflicted about it. So I understand them being conflicted about it. That's just a matter, like, again, a lot of women need to learn about feminine energy, what it is, and begin to embrace it. Also, if you ask a man about that, he's going to feel a way about that. He's gonna
Mm,
he's gonna want his woman to use masculine methods, like, hey, come talk to me and let's negotiate and let's make a deal and all those types of things as a way for her to get stuff done. And men, they don't want to be influenced in that way. A lot of men are concerned about that. They want to be in complete dominance, complete control, and the woman not do anything to influence anything. So a lot of men have a lot of fears around that. But yeah, the women, it's religion. Religion has made women afraid of who they are as feminine beings.
yeah. All right, I'm going to start asking you some stuff about Seku numerology and your relationship compatibility, which you talk a lot about in Pantheon. And so, one of my first questions was you mentioned in one of your videos that you consider the devotee or the queen archetype to be the smartest archetype. And I was kind of surprised by that. I mean, I know she's really good for, memorizing things, and that's definitely helpful in school because school, a lot of what it's about is being able to memorize stuff and regurgitate that on the test. But in the Hindu religion, they often recommend that what parents do if their children are having a hard time in school is that they chant to Saraswati, which is what their name for the visionary. So they consider the visionary to actually be the smartest or one of the smartest, and they recommend that that's who you utilize or invoke if you want to help your children to be smarter. So I'm kind of curious as to why you feel that the devotee is actually the smartest.
Yeah, I mean, first of all the archetypes are smart, so I don't want to make it seem like,
Okay, yeah.
utilizing one is going to put you in a negative spot, right? They're all smart. Number two, the reason why the devotee is smart is because of how she functions. So the devotee, she's very observant and she watches and she studies everything.
Mhm.
That's what she does. That's how she manages the queendom. Is she is very observant of all things. And so that's why she's the smartest because she takes in everything. Like her whole focus is to understand and take in information, to know how everything works. I mean, that's what she does. So that's why I said she's the smartest. The other part of it is usually intelligence in terms of understanding the world is more centered with submissive archetypes. So the negotiator, the monk, and the devotee are all submissive archetypes. Submissiveness is required for learning. So the reason why those archetypes understand so much about life, like the negotiator, for example, like he understands everything about business, everything about how money works, the financial system, the economics. Like he just understands all this stuff. Why?
Mhm.
Because he learns it. He submits himself to the people who know or to the books or whatever it is, and he gets the understanding, the knowledge, right? The monk archetype, he's always in meditation. He's always trying to understand everything and always downloading, constantly downloading. He's like he's in his intuition all day, every day, right? The devotee, the same thing. Like she's about learning. She knows that she can't pick up a sword and go fight the warrior, go fight the king, or go fight these other archetypes using force. So the way she manages her situation is through knowledge and understanding. And so that's why I said she's the smartest.
Okay, wow. So what accounts then for the intelligence of the visionary? Because the visionary is dominant. She's not submitting to the teacher. So how is the visionary so smart?
Well, the visionary, she is imbued with an understanding of how the world works and what things are. So that's where her knowledge and understanding comes in the form of knowing how to make things happen, right? So knowing how people can come together and work together to make money or to build happiness, or knowing how to take all these items that seem to be not related at all and turn them into like one system. You see what I'm saying? So because she understands the world and understands how it works, that's where her kind of genius comes in. That's why she's more of a strategist because, one of her roles is to tell you how to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. The monk, on the other hand, tells you what things are. The visionary tells you, well, how do I actually accomplish goals? And so that's why she's the Fortuna major and she's the wealthiest because she knows how to make money. She knows what true wealth is. And that's why her wealth goes beyond even money because she's so wise. She understands that wealth isn't really even about money or about assets. Like wealth is way bigger than that. It's about community and do you have access to things and all that kind of stuff. So she has a worldly view and just like a deep understanding of how the world works, and that's where her genius comes from.
She's a creative genius.
Creative
She
genius. She's creative as a motherfucker. Like she governs creativity.
Mhm, mhm,
People sell creativity short, but creativity is like literally like you need a solution to make something happen. You tap into creativity, and now you've got a solution. No matter what it is, how to heal cancer, how to make money, how to like restore harmony inside a romantic relationship. Like that's what creativity is.
mhm,
You look at a situation. There's no apparent way to do it to make it work. Well, the visionary goes in and she comes out with a creative solution, and now the problem is solved.
mhm. So I'm gonna finish this off with talking about us and Seku numerology, because you said something interesting. You mentioned how like because there's different houses. Each of the nine archetypes has their own house, and so I want to talk about the second house and the eighth house. So the second house, has to do with communication and business and other things. And you mentioned that in your second house, one of the archetypes that you have is the warrior, and that's why you love to debate and you can be really intense when you debate. And I was like, oh my God, that's why when we argue, it's like war when we debate. It's like painful. And I was like, yeah, he does have his warrior in the second house. Oh my God. And so I looked at all the things that you have in the second house based on your chart. And so you have the warrior, you also have the monk, and for the body, you have the conservationist in the second house. So warrior, monk, and conservationist are in your second house. And for me, in my second house, it's lover, peacekeeper, and negotiator in my second house. So knowing that this is what our configuration is for the second house, how can you and I better relate with one another as far as communication?
Communication.
Mhm.
So who do I have again?
You have the soldier for mind, you have the monk for spirit, and you have the conservationist for body, all in the second house.
Okay.
I have for mind, lover, for spirit, peacekeeper, and for body, negotiator, all in the second house.
Hey, what's your mind again for
Lover.
lover? Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the communication pattern, The soldier is masculine and neutral. The lover is feminine and dominant. That's not a really great match for communication in terms of like always communicating well. Um, because the soldier he doesn't really care what you're talking about. And the lover, she's dominant. She's gonna want things her way, and so they're gonna end up bumping heads a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but it can work out. Like I think just understanding that dynamic and respecting it. Like if you know I got soldier in the second house from mine, then like I can be set off very easily. Now that's not going to be my normal thing because again, the thing about the soldier is he works in bursts. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I'm not always on 10.
Mhm.
But when I get triggered or when I get passionate about something or excited about something or I got to show up and do something, that's when I bring him out.
Mhm.
So, the lover, she should know what to say and
Mhm.
how to say the sweet things and all that. And, it should work out well for the soldier, in my opinion. I'll have to
Mhm.
look at it a bit more deeply to make sure I understand it, but that's my initial take on it.
Yeah, I had sent it to you. You can take a look. But I mean, that happened even today. Like, I'm coming with all this emotion and not really being logical. And like, you're being like analytical as fuck. You're talking a bunch of shit, Leslie. Your event doesn't even make sense. Like, you were very analytical today. And I was like, still kind of like in my emotions and not like initially, I wasn't really able to follow you. But then when I kind of like pulled myself out of the emotionality and was like, okay, like he's breaking it down for me analytically, then I had to admit that, okay, all right, he's right. He's right. You see?
Did that hurt?
No, I mean it hurt, but my negotiator was like, "Ah." But like I was like, you know what? His soldier's on point. Like what he's saying makes sense. Like, yeah, he gave me, two or three clear avenues by which to get more of what I want from him. Like it just made sense when I allowed myself to realize, okay, he's giving me the analysis. He's breaking it down analytically, which is what a soldier does. And I just had to just like okay, he's right. Like, oh my God, he's fucking right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the right way. The soldier is
And
analytical.
yeah, but you also have the monk in your communication, which is also true. You write a lot of books. Like you're like debating you is hard. I don't even know why I keep trying, but debating you is super hard, and I always lose. I lose every single debate that I attempt to have with you. I'm not sure about the conservationist in the second house. I don't know what that really means for you. What do you think that means?
For my body.
Yeah, your conservation is in the second house.
I would have to think about that a bit more.
Okay. Okay.
And see how that manifests from a physical standpoint. I don't want to speak on that and not have that accurate.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But let me
But
ask you, how do you feel about your lover in the second house in terms of communication? How do you feel that manifests?
I think it means that like I don't always like I might think I'm communicating logically, but really I'm not.
Mm,
And so people don't always understand. Like you don't a lot of times you don't understand me. You think I'm crazy. And so like I tend to get kind of mixed up. Like I have the negotiator logic, but then I have my lover emotion, and then I'm trying to communicate both of them, but then it just ends up sounding crazy.
yeah,
Like a lot of people don't really like even my posts. Like a lot of times I think that what I'm saying is clear, and like, but then when I talk to people about it, like they totally did not understand what I was saying in my
yeah,
post.
yeah,
It went over their head.
yeah, yeah. Where's do you have your chart in front of you? I,
Um,
I want to
well,
know for your mind archetype, what do you mind? You're a visionary?
no, my three main archetypes
What's your mind?
is negotiator, and then spirit is
Oh,
lover,
okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
then body is peacekeeper.
So you also have good communication 'cause when you try to communicate, it's going to come out fairly balanced most of the time.
Mhm.
So, having negotiator in the fifth house for your mind means that, a lot of your communications are going to be clear,
Okay.
you know?
I
Uh,
think it's clear except when I'm emotional.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like when you get into emotions or like lover in the second house, when you're in a romantic relationship situation, I think that's when a lot of that weird communications comes out. So that when you're in a relationship, that's where your communication can be faulty.
Mhm. Mhm. I see that. I see that. I definitely see that.
Yeah.
And now, in terms of the eighth house, which is, the sex and all of those beautiful things, you have your devotee in the eighth house, which I think you said that that's what allows you to be submissive in the bedroom.
Hmm.
You have for the spirit, you have the leader in the eighth house. So you
Yeah.
also like to dominate.
Yeah.
And for body, you have the monk in the eighth house, which I'm not really sure what the interpretation of that is. Maybe it's because you like tantric sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're really into tantric sex.
Yeah. Exactly.
And for me, it's the same three again. My peacekeepers in the eighth house, my negotiators in the eighth house, and my lovers in the eighth house. It's the same three.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Same three for the second house, same three for the eighth house, just in a
Get
different.
out of here. That is wild. I gotta take a look at that.
Yeah. So I think it's not a surprise based on my chart that I ended up doing sex work. Um, because I just how do I explain this? I believe that, humans need sex for healing. Like I believe that the way to heal racism or the trauma between the races is through sex. And
Mm,
that's why, so many white men are attracted to black women and black women. Like that's never gonna, it's been happening since slavery. This has been going
absolutely.
on since slavery.
Absolutely.
Despite all the propaganda and all of that shit, white men were still fucking black female slaves. White women were having sex with black male slaves during slavery. This is a fact.
Absolutely.
And it's the energy of that is like I was watching Candace Owens, one of her shows, and she was talking about Pornhub, the statistics on Pornhub for each country. And in America, she said the number one thing that's searched for in Pornhub is ebony, looking
Are
for
you
black
serious?
women
Are you
in
serious?
America. Yes. And Candace Owens, her interpretation was like, I don't understand how that could be true because everybody says America is racist. So how are they looking for black women on Pornhub? She didn't get it.
Well, yeah, but you don't understand the real deal about the racism. You understand why what racism stems from. I mean, it's really about it's a convoluted form of adoration and jealousy. You understand? So, like the reason why people are racist is because they feel insecure about this other person or this other race. That they see qualities in them that make them feel insecure about themselves. That's where their racism and hate comes from.
Wow.
So while they hate these individuals, that they're simultaneously making it the focus of their entire life. Other thing about being racist and all that kind of stuff is like you do know your life is basically centered around these people that you hate so much.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's the
To the
metaphysical
point where you want to have
sensuality of it.
sex with them, to the point where you want to have
Oh,
sex.
absolutely. To the point where you want to be them. Did you see that movie? What's that movie called? Jordan Peele's or whatever his name, where they took the black bodies and put their brains in the black body. Similar to that type of situation.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just can't remember the
That's
name.
called Get Out. Get Out.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like that's where racism comes from. Even you heard of Nick Fuentes?
Yes. Yes.
Even he was saying, and people look at him as racist, right? But
Mhm.
even he was saying, like, look, if you're the kind of person who just hates a group of people, he's like, that's a mental illness. He's like, yeah, like with me with black people, I don't want to be around them, or I say that they're not achieving these things, or I don't want to live with, you see what I'm saying? But I don't like hate the group of people. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's like, that's a mental illness. Even he said that. Like everybody knows, like if you're a racist or you're a sexist or something like that, like you got a mental illness. Like you got a serious insecurity about yourself
Mhm.
that these people are reflecting back at you, which is why you hate it so much or hate them so much. So everybody knows that these people are just completely whacked out. But at the same time, we've all got something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we hate a person or groups of people or feel a way about them or whatever, this is reflect their insecurities.
Mhm. Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so that's the thing that we're not talking about is that like we hate each other, but at the same time we're sexually like pulled towards each other, and
Yeah,
that's not going away.
yeah, you heard that song. There's a thin line between love and hate.
Mhm.
That's what that song means. That
Mhm.
means right next to hate is love, and same thing with love.
Mhm.
Right next to love is hate. Like I've experienced that. Like I've dated women who they love me,
Mhm.
but really there's a secret like despising of me. You know what I'm
Mhm. Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
Like under the surface. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, you know what, Rakhem, to finish up, I want to when I look at Megan the Stallion and Clay Thompson, like I want our relationship to look like that. Because like the only other man that I have a desire to sleep with besides you is Clay Thompson.
You gonna give him a call?
I wish.
Give him a call.
Wish I could call him. I wish I could call him. But he's like the NBA version of you, in my opinion.
Yeah, call Clay up. He might be down. You
So
never know.
I want to be your Megan the Stallion.
Okay, all right.
That's my lover. It's
That's
crazy.
your lover. Okay, that's your lover archetype.
All right. Thank you so much, Rakam. Oh, where can people find you and all of that stuff?
They can find me. Go to my Instagram, Rakhem Seku on Instagram, and then click the link in my bio. It's got all my stuff in there.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Rakam.
Leslie.
The greatest.
Peace.
Bye.